UFC 317 is just a few days away, which means that it is time for the X's and O's. In this video, we are going to be going over what I believe the game plans are going to be for both fighters coming into this fight and how I would be advising them coming into this, because this is a massive main event here, and it is a very interesting one, right? Because we have the most prolific finisher in the history of the sport in Charles Oliveira. And listen, man, we've had a lot of legends. We've had a lot of big name fighters in the UFC, and this guy stands out amongst them all when it comes to the danger factor, finishing fights. This man has a knack for getting that done. And then on the other side, we have what feels like the second coming of a prime Conor McGregor, a guy that talks the talk, backs it up, and goes in there and is starching some of the greatest featherweights we have ever seen. But now he is moving up to a completely different weight class. There's a lot of questions. How's Ilia going to do at 155 pounds? Will the power translate? Will he be undersized? All of those questions are going to be answered come fight night, but we know that this is a head-on collision waiting to happen. But I think it is a very strategic matchup to where we're going to see two guys come in with some very smart game plans to deal with each other, because there is no question they are both incredibly dangerous. I just don't see how this fight goes the distance, man. But let's take a look at the tail of the tape first here, because Ilia Topuria, 16-0. 16-0 coming into this, and yeah, whoa, woohoo, an undefeated fighter, but that's something, man. That's confidence. That's a guy who has not tasted defeat yet in his professional career. This is a guy that is continuously improving throughout his career. If you go and watch Ilia, right, on the local pro scene, was a guy that was known for being a grappler, and now he basically is looked at as the most elite boxer in the sport right now, and we've seen his style evolve, which is a huge reason he is 16-0. He can submit you, he can knock you out, but he is a shorter guy coming up into the lightweight division. But there are a lot of other shorter guys in the weight class. We got Michael Chandler, Arman Sarukian. I don't think that that is something that's going to impact Ilia Topuria, considering the style in which he fights, right? A guy that's a good boxer, I don't think height is a big deal. And then the weight here, this is off the UFC's website. I don't understand the weight numbers here. They're both going to weigh in at championship weight, 155 pounds. And then the reach advantage on the side of Charles Oliveira, which we knew that coming in. Charles is going to be the taller, longer, rangier fighter. But we know how Charles fights, man. His style is to move forward, pressure you, so he almost doesn't use the reach necessarily to his advantage like a lot of other fighters might, like an Israel Adesanya and Ian Gary, Sean O'Malley. Those guys utilize their reach, where Charles, we don't necessarily see that as much in his style. Then he also has a little bit of a leg reach, which that is something to note coming into this, because we know Charles he's got tremendous kicks, likes to throw those front kicks up the middle. Those are going to be big factors for him coming into this. So Charles, very clear, he is going to probably be the bigger fighter in there in terms of height, in terms of the guy that is used to the lightweight division. I expect to see a little bit of a size advantage for Charles coming in to fight night here. Now, we're going to start with Ilia Topuria, right? We're going to go from Ilia, then we'll get to Charles, and then I'll give you my pick at the end. But guys, I get goosebumps thinking about this fight, man. I think of this as like, man, we got two cars here. They're both lining up. One's over here, and we just say go, and they just pow, and they just smash in front of each other. That's what we're going to see in this fight. And this fight is very, very simple. It is a battle of who is going to control the center, who's going to dictate the pace. That is ultimately who is most likely going to win this fight, because both guys move well and obviously love to get their work done by moving forward and controlling the pace. So Ilia, what do we know about this guy? Elite boxing skills. You've heard from me by now. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. I would greatly appreciate it. I've been on this since day one, man. This guy has elite boxing skills. I think he has some of the best boxing we've ever seen, if not the best, in the history of the sport. Devastating powers, combinations are nasty, fights a lot like Canelo. The way he rips to the body, brings the shots upstairs, his stance, his movement, it is all boxing based. He's a boxer. He's basically a boxer with 4-ounce gloves on. Ilia also has a very nasty calf kick, right? And I feel like that is the unsung weapon that a lot of people don't talk about, right? If you go back and watch the Volkanovski fight, if you go back and watch the Max Holloway fight, it was the boxing that ultimately finished these guys off. Yeah, the body shots. Yeah, the hooks. Like, we get that all. But it's the calf kick. It was that calf kick that neutralized the movement of Alexander Volkanovski. I think that caught Volk very, very off guard, right? Volk coming into that fight was the guy with the speed, the precision, the experience. He's got the good kicks. Well, he got out-kicked by Ilia, and it was a nasty calf kick, was, chopping at the base. What does that do? That takes away the movement. It takes away the elusiveness of Alexander Volkanovski to where he becomes a stationary target. That's where he's able to hunt you down, back you up against the fence. We saw him do the exact same thing to Max Holloway. Attack the leg, attack the leg, attack the leg. Then he will put water in the basement, attack the body, find that knockout shot. But we also know Ilia is good grappling, right? I'm not going to say it's elite or anything like that, because since he's came into the UFC and he's been in there with the bigger name fighters, the better fighters in the sport, at least at featherweight, we haven't really seen much grappling. We did see him go out there and take Max Holloway down very, very easily, which, by the way, that's very impressive. Didn't do a whole lot with it, but it's still the fact that he easily took Max down. He's got good wrestling, has excellent jiu-jitsu skills. We saw him submit Bryce Mitchell, but we also saw him spend some time on the ground against Bryce Mitchell. And that's where a lot of people are like, man, how does this go if you're getting, ragdolled around a little bit by Bryce Mitchell? I mean, Charles Oliveira, guys like Islam Makhachev, Arman Sarukian, those are much better grapplers than Bryce Mitchell, which is absolutely true. But I do believe Ilia underestimated Bryce coming into that fight. I really think that. But we ultimately saw him hurt Bryce Mitchell, and we saw him submit Bryce Mitchell and get him out of there. And like I said, we've seen this guy before the UFC. That's how he was winning fights, taking people down, utilizing his jiu-jitsu skills. He is a very good grappler from what we've seen thus far, but I think that's something that doesn't get brought up enough. Ilia Topuria is built for 5 rounds, right? And what we've seen throughout his career is in his 5-round fights. We saw him go out there against Josh Emmett, which I believe was his first 5-round fight in the UFC. Put on a just absolute boxing masterclass for 25 minutes. And people are like, well, you didn't finish Josh Emmett. How could you not finish Josh Emmett? It's styles make fights, guys. Josh Emmett has devastating power in that big ooga booga winging right hand where it just goes and throws that big old right hand. You got to be careful of it. It's got a little bit of a sneaky left hook there. Big, powerful guy for the weight class. Styles make fights. And we saw that, Ilia was cautious in that fight. But I think that is a fight that really prepared Ilia moving forward to know that he can trust his gas tank, know that he can go a hard 25 minutes and just outbox somebody. Man, that fight was not even close. Pick Josh Emmett apart, beat the hell out of him, and he's built for 5 rounds. There's no wasted movement with this guy. He moves around kind of flat-footed, boxing stance, no wasted movements, not a ton of big overexerting moves that would, gas him out and really wear on him. Ilia Topuria is built for 5 rounds. His style is super efficient. That's something very important to note moving into a very dangerous lightweight division. But what's the game plan that I'm anticipating from Ilia Topuria? Now, I made a video on my channel, I'll link that below, where we took a look at his open workout, okay? And I brought up a lot of these things, right? Because Ilia essentially showed us how he's going to approach Charles, how he's going to attack him, because we know Charles, obviously, dangerous everywhere. That's just kind of my tagline for DuBronx is dangerous everywhere. Can submit you, can knock you out with the hands, with the knees, with the elbows, with the feet. I mean, Charles can do everything. But there's a lot of holes in his game when it comes to the defense. And I think that is what Ilia is obviously going to try to exploit in this fight. And I have a few things narrowed down here that I'm very much expecting from Ilia in order to win this fight. If Ilia wins, he's going to be the one moving forward. While I think if I had to pick a fighter of who could fight better moving backwards, it would probably be Ilia, right? Because we've seen him slide out of range. He's got a good shoulder roll, good counter right hand. He has no problem sliding back a little bit to set up the counter shots, but he does his work well moving forward. He's got that boxing style like Canelo, like I said, high guard, will walk you down, stay very defensively responsible, stays very compact, very tight. There's not a lot of windows, man. There's not a lot of windows. So the 2 shots that he's got to look out for are the knee of Charles Oliveira and the kicks. Those are going to be the main attack points from Charles coming into this fight. Ilia knows that. He absolutely knows that. So the pressure, if he keeps Charles on the back foot and Ilia is dictating the pace, that makes it a little bit more predictable of what Charles is going to do, and Ilia is going to see those things coming as he's moving downhill. Charles will be the one that is trying to, react to what Ilia is doing. That means Ilia is dictating the pace. He's controlling the dance. That is absolutely what a dominant boxer like Ilia wants, and that's exactly what he's done throughout his career. Ilia has walked down everyone that he has fought in the UFC. But we saw at moments, Jai Herbert, a rangy guy at in the lightweight division, snappy striking, right? I know he's not as dangerous as Oliveira, but he's got snappy kicks. He's fast. He's nimble. We saw him putting Ilia up against the fence, landing some good knees, knocking his mouthpiece out. Those are things that Charles has noted coming into this, right? Because that's the last time we've seen Ilia fight a guy at lightweight that has a rangy frame like that. I know Max is a rangy guy, but that was at featherweight. But it's the boxing. It's going to be the pressure. It's going to be the boxing. Putting water in the basement, landing to the body of Charles. He's a tall guy. He's going to be a little bit taller than Ilia. So Charles is going to have those hands up, right? He's got that Muay Thai stance. So while those hands are up, those are going to be the perfect opportunities for Ilia to crack to the body, land those nasty counter shots, try to dig to the liver, see if he could drop him with a body shot, but ultimately take wind out of the sail. Take some of the explosiveness away from Charles Oliveira. Take his wind away and bring those hands down to where he can ultimately set up the devastating knockout shots that we know this man can land. And that's going to come down to as well as countering the kicks, because we've seen if you're going to get to Ilia, right? Max was having success on the feet. Volkanovski was having success on the feet. Those guys are better boxers than Charles. They're better boxers than Charles. Now, Charles is maybe a better kicker than those guys. I know Volk's got some good kicks, but Max isn't known for his kicking. Charles is going to be bringing a full arsenal of striking to this fight. It's not just going to be a boxing match here. He's got to counter the kicks. Charles knows the snappy little lead leg head kick, that is the shot that has hurt Ilia throughout his career. Once on the local pro scene, once against Jai Herbert, the knees up the middle. Ilia's low. He'll be moving his head around, trying to work to the inside. That's the perfect time for a knee to come. Ilia is going to be prepared for that. So countering the kicks, whenever Charles throws a head kick, block it, step in, rip a right hand to the body, because that also helps deter guys from level changing, right? If you're able to work the body, those straight shots to the gut, that can help deter the takedowns. Threatening with uppercuts, shots up the middle, but we don't see Ilia do much other than box, right? And he's got that calf kick, but I don't think that that's particularly going to be a weapon in this fight, because Charles, we saw him against Gaethje in that Muay Thai stance. He checks kicks very well and gets that lead leg out of the way. So I think that Ilia is going to try it, I'm sure, but he's got to be very careful, because if you swing and you miss with the calf kick, you're going to be out of position. That is where Charles likes to step in and land that right hand. So I don't anticipate a ton of calf kicks in this fight from Ilia, but if he can sneak those in there, that will definitely hinder the movement of Charles and make him more of a stationary target. But we know Charles is going to move forward. He's going to move forward. So that's where Ilia wants to keep it, man. On the feet. He wants to be the one moving forward, not allowing Charles to put that pressure on him. Work the body, take wind out of the sail, bring those hands down to open up those shots upstairs, and don't get clipped. I have this with an exclamation here, right? And man, shots are going to land. Shots are going to land. Of course, shots are going to land. It is absolutely paramount for Ilia Topuria. He needs a life alert button in there, man, because if he gets stunned by anything that Charles does on the feet, a right hand, an uppercut, a knee, a kick, this isn't Jai Herbert. This is a dangerous guy who's the most prolific finisher in UFC history, and if he stuns Ilia Topuria, the fight might be over, because we've seen Charles do this. He'll hurt guys, just like he did against Gaethje. Steps in, hurts you, drops you. He will hop on a limb faster than anybody in UFC history, right? The only other guy you could probably throw up there might be Islam, right? We've seen Islam get people down, hop right to a Darce, whatever it might be, Chimaev. When it comes to straight jiu-jitsu, the killer instinct to finishing a fight when they have you wounded, Charles Oliveira, he's probably the best of all time when it comes to that. Ilia can't get hurt in this fight. He can't get hurt, can't get clipped by a shot, can't get rocked. None of that can happen in this fight for him to win. He's got good defense, good high guard. Ilia Topuria has all the tools to go in there and beat Charles. He's dangerous, excellent boxing, fighting behind the jab, getting his range, getting those combinations, digging to the body. Make Charles doubt himself, right? Fighters, they improve. We see them come back in their career. They make adjustments, right? Charles back in the day, he was looked at as kind of a guy that would just wilt. Right, if you melted him, backed him up against the fence, put that pressure on him, work the body, tag him. He almost would just kind of give up, right? But ever since coming up to lightweight, went on that crazy run, it feels like we've seen a different Charles. This guy got rocked and dropped by Chandler, almost finished. Came back, won the world title. Same thing in the Poirier fight. Same thing in the Gaethje fight. Got dropped by Islam and did get finished, which that's also the thing here is if Ilia is able to knock Charles Oliveira down, I don't think he's going to be afraid to try to chase a submission. He's got very good jiu-jitsu skills as well. We saw him submit Bryce Mitchell. Ilia Topuria's got a good arm triangle, right? And I could see him doing something similar to Islam. Now, he's not as good of a grappler as Islam, but I think that Ilia is a very competent grappler. But I don't expect to see him try to entertain that too much in this fight because Charles, he's as dangerous as it gets, man, when it comes to this. But very simple. Ilia Topuria, he needs to be dictating the pace. He needs to be moving forward. He needs to be not over swinging, right? There's times he gets super excited early on. He's throwing these big, hard right hands, and that's great if they land. But if they don't, especially early on, Charles will get out of the way of that, and that's where Charles will look to counter. That's where he likes to utilize that left hook that we saw him drop Chandler with, that right hand that he sat Justin Gaethje down with. It is absolutely paramount for Ilia Topuria to not get clipped in this fight. He can't get clipped. Now, I don't mean when I say don't get clipped, I don't mean, you can't get hit with a jab, can't get hit with a kick. That's not what I'm saying. He cannot get rocked in this fight whatsoever. That's what makes Charles so dangerous. I feel like when we talk about fighters in UFC history, there's nothing more dangerous than Charles in the aspect of if you get rocked or you get hurt, it feels like it's over. He'll find a submission super fast. Ilia needs to get on the pressure, needs to stay in his face, frame, utilize that lead hand to hide his eyes, hide what Ilia is going to be doing next, block the vision of Charles Oliveira, pull his guard down, set up those shots, that right hand, left hook that we saw him do on Holloway. As the fight builds, Ilia gets better. Early on, I expect this to be a collision. We may see Ilia catch him in the first round. We may see Charles catch Ilia in an exchange and drop him and get him out of there. It's possible we see someone get starched and finished in the first round. Ilia builds. He's got that boxing style. Patient. Likes to try to build as the fight goes. This is not that kind of fight. Charles Oliveira is not the matador like a Volkanovski, like a Max Holloway, who's going to be dancing around on the outside, accepting the back foot. Charles doesn't go down like that. He wants to be moving forward. So this is going to be a battle of who's going to hold their ground, which is exactly why it's going to be a car crash in the middle. Boxing, pressure, hold your ground, and do not let this fight hit the floor. Keep it on the feet. Utilize your boxing, turn it into a boxing match, and Ilia Topuria can land that shot by digging to the body, bringing those hooks upstairs. I think he can knock out Charles Oliveira. If he does that, very simple for Ilia Topuria. Jab, utilize your boxing. The calf kick, if it's there, use it, but I think Charles is going to defend it very well. Keep this fight on the feet. You have an advantage there. That is how I see Ilia Topuria approaching this fight. Now, we're moving on to Charles. Coming into this, a lot of people, man, including me, right? Maybe I've been overlooking Charles a little bit, right? And I go back and I watch the tape, and that's what I was doing prior to this, and I'm looking for tendencies. I'm looking for what we have seen, and we know that Charles, it's no mystery his defense is lacking. It just is, and in particular against the boxing. And that's why coming into this, it just feels like it's a disaster waiting to happen for Charles, right? He's got that stubborn style of, Muay Thai guys are like, I want to fight in a very close space. I want to be the one moving forward. I want to be in a very comfortable spot for myself. I don't want to be backing up. I want to be moving forward, dictating the dance. And we know Charles is going to come in and try to do that, which is why it's going to be a head-on collision. But here's what we know about Charles. He doesn't have good jiu-jitsu. He doesn't have great jiu-jitsu. He doesn't have bad jiu-jitsu. He has elite jiu-jitsu. Like, he might have some of the most elite in terms of MMA jiu-jitsu, just straight jiu-jitsu as well. But just straight MMA, Charles is probably the most elite jiu-jitsu guy we've ever seen. At least in the modern day of the UFC. Right? I know Islam, he's showing he's very good as well, but I mean, he's got the best guard in MMA, dude. Without question, do not entertain the guard of Charles. Don't do it. He has nasty Muay Thai, very aggressive Muay Thai, and that's how those shoot-the-box guys are, right? You see the little Charles Oliveira stunt doubles, like Felipe dos Santos, Daniel Santos. They got their blonde hair. They look like mini Oliveiras out there. They move forward with that high guard because they're like, what the hell are you going to do, take me down? I have no problem ending up on bottom. Right? They got nasty elbows from the bottom, which is a thing that you don't see a ton of, right? They're just not worried about, what are you going to do? Posture up, try to land ground and pound? They'll catch you in a triangle. They'll transition to an arm bar. They'll try to work different positions from the bottom. They got their De La Rivas. I mean, they're good, man. They are as good as it gets, and especially Charles, right? And we know he's durable. We saw him go out there and damn near get finished by Chandler, damn near get finished by Poirier and Gaethje. And this guy comes back and wins against those guys. And they're looked at as more of the dangerous strikers in this weight class. We know he's durable. He's eating thunder from those guys. Got hit clean in those fights. He has the experience on his side. Ilia Topuria's got a lot of experience at this point, but in terms of the lightweight experience, championship experience, high-level experience, that advantage goes to Charles. While Ilia's been in there with Volk and Holloway right now, recently, which is crazy, super high level as it gets at 45, this is 55. Charles is the established guy in this weight class, and I expect him to utilize that to his advantage in this fight. And like I said early on, dangerous everywhere. There is no one more dangerous really in the sport than this guy, man. All around, on the feet, knockout power in his hands, in everything that he throws. We've seen him hurt Dariush with a head kick. We know he's got great knees. We know he's got power in that left hook. We saw him drop Chandler with it, that right hand that dropped Gaethje. He's got a full arsenal, man. And that's why the game plan of Charles, it's a little bit more complex than Ilia's here, because Charles, he can't box, right? Just because someone can throw good punches and have power, don't confuse that with being a good boxer, right? That means, offensively, you can box basically because you have, good punches, right? Boxing. But there's more that comes into boxing than just throwing punches. It's how do you defend? How do you move? What's your footwork like? There's a big difference between the boxing of DuBronx and Ilia. But then there's a big difference between striking, kickboxing, between Ilia and Charles. The kickboxing advantage, that goes to Oliveira. He's got more weapons, right? But grapple early and often. Don't allow Ilia to just come trotting across the center, getting real, you'll see him real relaxed, kind of moving that, the shoulders around, swinging the head around. Don't let him get comfortable. Don't let him get comfortable. Approach this fight to how you approach Michael Chandler the second time. Bury those front kicks into the breadbasket. Keep him at the end of your strikes. If Ilia wants to come crashing forward, clinch him up. Because Ilia is going to try to rip those shots to the body in the clinch, right? Clinch him up. Let those knees go to the midsection. Bring those hands down of Ilia, because good boxers, they like to keep their hands loyal upstairs. Bring that down. That'll open up knees. That'll open up head kicks, right? Grapple early and often. Wear on Ilia. Try to take some of that explosiveness away. Get him thinking about the takedowns. Introduce mixed martial arts into this contest. Don't just come out there and strike with Ilia. Because I'm going to be honest, I don't think anyone at featherweight or 55 could do that with the guy. Right? Because at the end of the day, you could go in there, you could kick, you could do this, you could do that, but if you don't get Ilia out of there, he's eventually going to touch that chin and find the KO. Right? Don't just box with the guy. You are the Muay Thai specialist here, Charles. Outstanding knees, great elbows, good front kicks, good kicks. I mean, he's just well-rounded. He has more at his disposal when it comes to the striking. Not nearly as one-dimensional as Ilia. Now, Ilia is elite at what he does, but Charles is also elite at what he does. The clinch is his friend. If you can get Ilia in close, you're the guy that's been at lightweight. You're taller, right? Ilia is going to be lower. He's going to be very easy to knee here. Those elbows, you can grab a whole boom. Just let those short elbows go in close. Dig those knees into the breadbasket. Bring them up high. Charles isn't worried about being taken down in this fight. He has no fear of being taken down here. Now, maybe Ilia just shows us that turns out he does have an elite ground game and can go out there and take Charles down and submit him. I mean, that'd be crazy. Don't think that happens, but who knows? There's still a little bit of an unknown about Ilia's ground game, but from what we've seen so far, in terms of what it will look like at the highest level, especially against someone like Charles here, full Thai arsenal, use it on display. Front kicks up the middle. Bury him into the breadbasket. We saw him do that against Michael Chandler. Try to deter Ilia from moving forward. If you watch the open workout, Ilia is clearly expecting the front kicks. He is willing to eat the front kicks and continue to move forward. He does not want to give ground to Charles. Charles isn't going to want to give ground to Ilia. Right? So this is just going to come down to who's going to dictate the dance here. Attack the legs of Ilia. He's got that boxing-heavy style, right? That lead leg is bladed. It's turned. That foot's this way. That calf is available. Now, Ilia does a nice job of kind of stepping in and eating it. We saw that against Volkanovski. We saw it against Holloway. Charles hits harder than those guys when it comes to the kicking game, though. He does. And we've seen Charles, when he lands that calf kick, he sweeps guys off their feet. He's got nasty kicks. Very nasty kicks. They don't have, when he throws them to the leg, they're fast, they're powerful. When he throws them, to the body, the roundhouses, to the body upstairs, not whippy. Not whippy like a JakeGerber, but they still got power. He's a powerful guy, man. Mix it up. Don't just box with Ilia Topuria. Beat up that leg. Give him something to think about. Hinder the movement. Right? If you're attacking that leg as Ilia starts to come into range and you just bury a front kick into the midsection, he still wants to move forward. Bang. Smash the leg kick. Attack that calf. Try to hinder the movement. Get his respect. Ilia's 16-0 coming into this. He's undefeated. He's just knocked out the two featherweight goats. I put him in that conversation as well now because he knocked those guys out. But given the long reign that Volk had in the division, all that Holloway's done in that division, those are basically the two featherweight goats. He's coming off back-to-back KO wins over those guys. Probably the best back-to-back wins in UFC history. And then if he goes out there and beats Oliveira, that would be the greatest trio of wins probably in UFC history, back-to-back-to-back like that. Like Golden State, like the Warriors, like the Bulls, man. It's craziness. Get his respect. This guy's confident. He's cocky, right? But that's what makes Ilia different. What makes him special. He believes in that power. He believes, he's like, if I touch Charles' head, it's going to explode or whatever the hell he said. He believes it. He absolutely believes it. He's not just talking. He believes it. I'm going to knock out Volk. Did it. I'm going to knock out Holloway. Did it. Control the pace in the center. Get his respect. Back him up. Don't allow him to just bully you around. Be defensively responsible. That is the biggest thing coming into this fight for Charles that just has me feeling like he's not going to win is his defense, especially against the boxing, isn't good. He gets hit. If you're getting hit by these other guys, man, and I know that there's some hard thumpers at 55. Ilia's a different kind of thumper, man. He's got bricks in his hands, sledgehammers in his hands, digs to the body well, mixes up his shot selection beautifully. There's nothing about Ilia is just touching you just to score. It's power. It's to inflict damage. It's devastating. Be defensively responsible. You can't just be willing to be like, I'm going to get hit and I'm going to get dropped and I'm just going to come back. I don't see that going down against Ilia, especially knowing that Ilia does have a good ground game from what we've seen. I expect if Ilia is able to drop Charles, he will follow him to the floor and look to submit him. That's where Poirier was afraid to go. That's where, Chandler to a degree was afraid to go. That's where Gaethje was afraid to go. Islam wasn't. Dropped him on the feet, followed him to the floor, subbed him. Because again, you could be a great grappler, be great on the ground, have great jiu-jitsu skills, but if you get rocked and you're dizzy and you're trying to shake off the cobwebs and you're rocked, someone that's not as good of a submission ace as you, they could submit you, right? Because obviously that just makes sense. You're shaking. I expect that to be a path for Ilia in this fight. Be defensively responsible. It's different, though, because I feel like if Ilia gets rocked, Charles can easily sub him up. And in this case, we know Charles is a dangerous guard here. Just from what we've seen so far, I'm not saying Charles can just get, Charles can get clipped. No, he can't get clipped in this fight, man, either. Because Ilia, that power is different. The boxing is outstanding. It's going to be a fun fight, man. Mix it together. Turn this into an MMA fight. Don't just box with Ilia Topuria. Don't sit on the outside just trying to, play this pick and poke type of game. Do it in the beginning. Mix in the, the grappling. Bury those front kicks into the midsection. See if you can land that high kick that everyone keeps trying. But we see Ilia is very hip to it. Just blocks that head kick perfectly. He's expecting it. Be ready for the counters of Ilia. This guy's confident. He's dangerous. Expect an arrogant Topuria that believes he's going to walk through you, Charles. And I know Charles is expecting that coming into this. But here's my pick. Charles is very capable of pulling this off. I know he's a big underdog coming into this. People just have recognized the talents of Ilia. I've sat up here and said, look, Ilia is a generational talent. I believe that Ilia has all the skills to go in there and show us just exactly who he is. That dangerous guy, elite boxing, devastating power, the new generation of mixed martial arts. I believe that he has the ability to do that. I think Ilia goes in there and finishes Charles at UFC 317. However, if Ilia gets hurt, if he comes into this and he's not able to get Charles out of there, and this is just one of those things where he's standing in the pocket, he's over swinging, he's getting out of position, he's letting Charles, control him with the grappling, Charles can pull this off, man. Charles has power. He has the ability to KO you. He has the abilities to submit you from anywhere. He's going to have the size advantage, so to speak, in this fight. He's going to look to weaponize that, man. Charles has a lot of things that he can weaponize in this fight. He has more ways, I think, to beat Ilia than Ilia does to him. Charles is the more diverse arsenal. However, Ilia is such a specialist in one particular area that I just think that it kind of overcomes for the fact that he doesn't do as much when it comes to the striking as Charles. That's what it comes down to for me. And from what we've seen so far, I think his grappling is good enough to where if he rocks Charles, he could submit him, and I think that he has that short, stockier kind of build to where it's not just going to be easy to take this guy down, man. I don't think Ilia is going to just be some easy dude to just trip over and take him down and play that kind of game. And if you're going to pull him into your guard, Ilia's going to stand right back up, and he's going to march forward and try to knock your ass out. I think Ilia Topuria wins this fight by finish. I think maybe there's the chance that he flatlines Charles and his power translates, because I think it will translate for sure. I think if he touches Charles, it's just going to be different than these other guys. Even at 55 that have been hitting Charles. Ilia hits different, man. He hits different. When you're knocking out Volkanovski like that, just completely starching him, you're dropping Holloway, with these devastating shots, and you're the first person to knock him out after he just went up to 55 and put on a masterclass against Gaethje and then knocked him out in the final 10 seconds. I mean, you're just a different breed when you're doing this kind of stuff. I expect the power to translate. There's the shot that he flatlines Charles, but if he doesn't, I could very much see a club and sub in this fight. Either way, this is going to be a head-on collision. I do not expect this fight to go to the distance. I think we see a finish within 3 rounds at UFC 317. But if you guys enjoyed this video, do me a favor, please give it a like. Let me know what you think down in the comments and who you're picking to win this fight. And if you subscribe to the channel, I would greatly appreciate it. See you next time.